From Acapulco, Mexico, this is Anarchast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I've got a returning guest coming back on. It's Joshua Kettner of Dream Body Clinic, based out of Puerto Vallarta, although he's now also has operations going on in Cancun and Mexico City. And last time I had him on, we talked about human growth hormone. And as many of you may know, I've gotten into so many health things, I can't even possibly even list them all. You really wouldn't believe it. I spend about 5 to 8 hours a day sort of on health-related stuff now and absolutely loving it. And one of the things that I have in my health regimen is supplementing with HGH, and I think it's really something that a lot of people, especially sort of men that are, or maybe women too, but definitely men that are getting into their 40s and stuff like that, as I am, I find it's very good. And of course, it's difficult to get in places like the USSA, the land of the free, but down here everything's a lot easier. And actually, Josh is going to be coming to Acapulco, and so if you want to talk to him about supplementing with HGH, it's all quite legal. We could talk about all that kind of stuff down here. But Josh, before we get started, I just want to say great to see you again. And what's been going on with you? I know you've been expanding a lot.
Yeah, it's been really great. We decided to check out Cancun, just figured it'd be easier for people on the East Coast in Europe to get there. And so in July, I drove from Vallarta with my family all the way over there. Went great, stayed for like a month, figured things out, got an office and all of that. I don't have anyone there full time, but I'm now flying in there once a month, taking care of clients, patients, helping them out with getting their human growth hormone or their testosterone replacement therapy. It's been going really well. And we have Mexico City also, but we don't do that one too often. Most people seem to want to go more to like the beach towns, which has been nice.
Yeah, just a few episodes ago, we had on Luis Fernando Mises, who's actually going to be bringing a lot of kratom to the conference in Acapulco. And I also mentioned that there's a person here. If you want some cannabis oil, they can definitely hook you up. I use that daily in my coffee enemas. And you're coming as well with HGH. So for people who want these sort of things, and there's going to be, just so you know, a health and wellness sort of a seminar. I don't know if you're going to be participating in that or not, Josh. I know you were talking with Ivy about that. Did you agree to speak at that or be involved?
We haven't. We had an interview set up, and I was messaging her and had a client come in at like the same time, and unfortunately weren't able to connect yet. So hopefully I'll get to talk to her about that still. Okay,
so but you'll be at Acapulco either way. So for people who are interested in this sort of stuff, let's get into this stuff a little bit because, as I mentioned, I've just gotten so into this health stuff. I just got back from the beach. I try to swim in the ocean every day now. I find you get more connected to the earth and all that kind of stuff, and very healthy, the seawater, I just find. And I do so many things, including HGH. But we were talking before we got on to recording this, just how it seems that the sort of the establishment or the government, the media, they're all sort of part of the same thing nowadays. The pharmaceutical industry, that's fascism. They're all just part of the same thing nowadays. Seems like they just don't want anyone to have access to anything that's quite helpful to their health, do they?
No, even here where it's legal, it's insane like how difficult it still is. I mean, they'll have it at some pharmacies, but you're lucky if they have one or two. To get any sort of bulk, I mean, we've had to jump through such hoops. And even then, it keeps being just a pain. But, here, at least it is legal, and there is that possibility in places like the United States and Canada, and even most of Europe and the UK. It's considered like this like banned, forbidden substance. They've built this whole myth around it. Like, it basically gets grouped with anabolic steroids, though it has nothing to do with them. And, it's a lot of different medicines. It really seems that they don't want you healthy. And, I mean, it makes sense. Like, there's no money in keeping you healthy. They can't sell you their Lipitor or their, little blue pills or whatever you need. So something like this, it actually can make you healthier. It's near impossible to get unless you're like dying, basically.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've been doing it. I don't know do you remember the first time I ordered off you? I think I've been doing it well over a year now.
Yeah, I think it's been about a year exactly, yeah.
Or maybe even longer than that. So I've been doing it at least that long. I think it's a little longer, to be honest. And, I'm doing so many health things, it's really hard to tell which one thing is helping in whichever area. But I got to say, like, in general, with all the stuff I'm doing, I feel amazing. I've never felt actually better in my life. I just feel like really good all day long. It's like the opposite of how I felt a couple of years ago when I was really depressed and that sort of stuff. I just felt bad all the time. Now I just feel good all the time. It's like way better this way. I much prefer it this way. But like I said, I'm doing. I'll try to take a photo of the supplements I take. It's people would be quite shocked. It looks like sort of like that Philippine prime minister woman who has like the shoe addiction. It sort of looks like her shoe closet, but with mine, it's like all vitamins and supplements and stuff like that. But I do know that when I first started doing HGH, I wasn't doing hardly any supplements, and I definitely noticed a lot of changes. And one of them actually was my family all said to me within a couple weeks, Papa, my daughter came up and said, Papa, you look younger. They all said I looked younger. And I did not tell them I was even doing this stuff, so they had no reason to suspect that maybe I was or anything. So I personally didn't notice myself, but it seemed like other people noticed. So let's talk about HGH and why it's important. And I should just mention it too, that I just saw Sylvester Stallone just came across my YouTube, probably because Facebook and YouTube are always listening to you through their devices. They probably heard me talking about human growth hormone and then threw up that video. But it was actually Sylvester Stallone was on some talk show, and he brought up HGH, and he actually said something that I didn't know, and maybe, I don't know if it's true or not, but I was kind of surprised. He said HGH is basically just amino acids. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what is HGH, and by the way, I don't know how old Sylvester Stallone is, but he looked amazing. Like, he looks like 40 something, and I think he's like 70 something. So let's talk all about all that.
Yeah, so it is an amino acid. It's a 191 chain polypeptide amino acid. If you were to look at it under a microscope, it'd look kind of like a DNA double helix. And it's something, when you're an infant, you produce so much of this. It's just crazy. Like, we could never replicate it, let alone afford to replicate it. So it's very safe. It's not like, it gets kind of compared to testosterone, and a lot of people think it has those negative feedback loops, but it doesn't. It's bioidentical. And because of that, it doesn't shut down your natural production. You naturally produce growth hormone. Everyone does throughout the day. And it goes in waves. For men, it's real nice, slow waves. For women, it's a bit, more erratic and such. But, everyone produces it. So it's not gender biased, anything like that. And as you get older, pretty much after the age of 30, every year after, you're producing less and less. I mean, there's some statistics that are saying every 10 years after, you're about 25% less on your production. And it just seems really obvious that we're always looking at, aging and these problems. And most people just want to affect the symptoms. They want to say, oh, hey, look, you got wrinkles, let's go Botox it. Or you've got something else. It's just purely cosmetic. It doesn't address the root problems. And they're finding more and more that hormones are the key. Different hormones. There's testosterone, there's estrogen, there's ghrelin, there's leptin, there's your human growth hormone. All these things have a factor, and we're really lucky that human growth hormone was invented, because they invented it like back, I believe, in like the 60s, and at first they were taking it from cadavers, and they treated like 25,000 people, mostly children, up until the early 70s. And basically what happened is a lot of those people ended up getting what's called Creutzfeldt-Jacobson disease. It's basically mad cow for people, and realized, hey, we got to stop doing this. Luckily, they then found a way with a company called Genentech, found a way to make human growth hormone. They call it rHGH, recombinant human growth hormone. It's bioidentical. Your body can't tell the difference. It doesn't shut it down. And we can get you back to levels that you were at when you were 18 to 27, which is kind of your prime age for your hormones. So you get a lot of guys go to the doctor, and their doctor be like, oh yeah, your levels are good for your age. And you're like 60. And you're like, I don't want to feel 60. I want to feel 20, So we've just kind of taken that concept. We're not the first to do it. There's very large companies that do it in the United States, like Cenegenics, and there's a few other clinics, but their prices are outrageous, and they can't prescribe enough. It's just, there's so many laws. I mean, I could give you some crazy horror stories clients have told me that have happened to their doctors that were prescribing it. It's pretty out of control up there.
Yeah, let's hear those horror stories, because I know how crazy all these, there's so many natural health sort of people out there who've been for example, like the whole cancer industry, which is just a big industry, the cancer is easily curable. Like there's so many ways to cure it. It's like funny, but they're all not allowed in places like the U.S. where they're just trying to essentially kill everybody, from what I can tell. And so let's talk about so many of these people. Well, first of all, the cancer people, a lot of them moved down here to Mexico, similar as you, because they just don't have these government things down here where they're trying to kill everybody for whatever reason. And then even just in recent years, there's been so many people, because there's so many, like this is what I've learned personally in the last couple of years as I'm doing all these health things, is pretty much most of the things that I'm doing, I never heard about. I had to go find them somewhere. Like they're just not that well known. Like even my coffee enemas. I just saw a video on Facebook just today. Someone forwarded it to me, and it was like coffee enemas are dangerous, and it had like 300,000 views. I'm like, what the heck? No one even talks about coffee enemas, and now there's like a coffee enemas are dangerous, and I'm like, it's the best part of my day. Like I feel so good when I do it. So, the people putting out all this information about what is actually good for you, a lot of them are getting killed. So what are some of the horror stories you've heard about HGH being prescribed by doctors?
Okay, well, to go on that, your coffee enemas, yeah, man. I was just reading a story about a guy in Vegas that had cancer, decided not to take the chemo, and he did that and the high-dose vitamin C and cured himself. It's just, it really is tricky like that. But but the growth hormone, so basically one client I had in Cancun, this guy's really cool, lives out in Washington, D.C., and he goes to this gym that a lot of the DEA guys and those types of people work out at, really high-end gym. And he'd been going to this doctor there that had been prescribing a lot of patients like 2 IU a day of growth hormone and then also testosterone replacement therapy. That in itself, no big deal, but he started dosing like 2 IU a day to a lot of people. And I mean, that's my go-to. I mean, some people take, even 4 IU, different things like that. And the feds told him at his gym, they're like, hey, you need to stop going to your doctor. And he's like, why? They're like, we're raiding him tomorrow. So this guy had to come to me in Cancun because literally his doctor, he could afford the higher price in the US, but he had to go there because of it. And it's just crazy stories like that.
Yeah, it's pretty clear when you look at all the evidence that, the government or people who run the government or the pharmaceutical complex or whatever you want to call it, their real goal is to make sure no one in the U.S. Has access to anything that will keep them healthy and to make them as sick as possible. That's all the evidence. Like you just pointed out, like you've actually got government agents trying to track down doctors who might be giving someone a little bit of HGH, which is an amino acid, which makes them feel younger. And
something
crazy.
You produce. I mean, they're trying to regulate your body at this point. It's insane. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And now, I've been doing this about 4 years, and we send everyone home with a copy of the law from their country. Like if you're going back to the US, I give you a copy in your folder with the law. If you go to Canada, same thing, because the US, it's like 50 dose units for any kind of medication. So just, people, if you're not just coming, it doesn't just apply to growth hormone. If you need a medication, it's your human right to travel to a foreign country, seek medical treatment, and return home to the United States with up to 50 dose units. We stretch that as far as we can, met with lawyers and doctors. To Canada, it's a 90-day supply, and most of the rest of the world, it's a 90-day supply. But, we're starting to have more and more people going through customs. Like I had some people go to Portland, Oregon yesterday, and they messaged me back, and this guy and his girlfriend's a doctor in Portland. She brought him down because he was having trouble with, I think it's like called chronic fatigue disorder. And one of the few things that any studies have shown that do anything is growth hormone. So they came and got it, and TSA harassed him, said that breaks FDA law and this and that. And you're like, what FDA law, Like now the FDA is like, like the police also. And I mean, they help form laws and what's regulated, but they don't, it's just insanity. And it has nothing to do with the way the laws are written. But they've got their power, and for that moment, they want to try and use it. But fortunately, the few times those things have happened, everyone's gone through, no issue. But, they don't know what they're talking about, and they're going to want to use that against you. I think it kind of applies to anything. If you get harassed like that, you shouldn't just bow down.
Oh yeah, you're preaching to the choir here. I definitely don't think we should just bow down. I think we should find every possible way around these criminals, and you know, you're doing it all legally, which is great. I would even support you if you weren't doing it legally. I couldn't care less about their stupid criminal laws. But yeah, let's talk about cost. When I first started, I asked you for like a sort of a just give me like a small sort of dose sort of thing. I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to like take lots so I can get even. I just wanted a small amount, and he told me that. And then over time, I thought, well, why not take more? I'm feeling great. and you mentioned, yeah, you're not taking that much, so I upped it. And I think I upped it now to, it says 0.6 on that stick you gave me, and I take it twice a day. So how many IUs is that a day?
Yeah, so IUs is a weird one. IU stands for International Units. And the thing is, it comes in like the one that you have is a powder in one section, and here, I got one right here. I put some props up. This one's been used, but there's a powder here and bacteriostatic water here. And this is what you were talking about is right here is the milligrams. So to get IU, you just multiply the milligrams by 3. So 0.6 would be 1.8 IU. So just under 2 IU, because you can't hit 2 exactly with the pens like this because they're preset.
So I'm doing about 4 IUs a day, and I think you mentioned that's a good amount to do. But it's funny, though, because when I was ordering it off you, right here in Mexico, you can just ship it from Puerto Vallarta right here to Acapulco. It's all fine. It's so much freer place than the U.S. down here. That's why they want to make it look as dangerous as possible. They don't want anyone to know what's going on down here. But when I mentioned to you I wanted to go to like quite a bit of higher amount because I'm feeling so good, why not feel even better? And you were like, yeah, the only issue is cost. And I was like, Bitcoin's around $15,000. I think I can up my HGH a little bit. But so let's talk about the cost. So what would you recommend for your average person? What would the cost be? That sort of thing.
So average person, pretty much anyone, male or female, if you're under 250 pounds, 2 IU a day is kind of your go-to. Women, for whatever reason, I mean, there's a lot of factors, the way they metabolize it, menstruation, different things that cause them to absorb it a bit faster than men. So typically, like my wife probably weighs like 120 pounds. I weigh about, 215. So, and she uses the same dose as me. I just do the 2 IU a day. When I want to up it, maybe I'm working out harder, I'll bring it up to 4, but I split it like 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. But for your average person, just trying to look and feel better, 2 IU is perfect. Most people, since you do have to fly to Mexico to make this work, most people want to get as much as they can. So I package it up in 720 IU packages, which is the 1-year supply if you're doing 2 IU a day. So like this one here, the Pfizer Genotropin, that's $6,900. Comes with the doctor, prescription, cooler for all your pens, ice packs. And then this one here is Norditropin Novo Nordisk. This one, it's the same amount of IU that you get, but there's more IU per pen. And these, it's a 6,800. The only one that's kind of out of the price range, and I actually don't recommend, I've been using it right now, is the Lilly Humatrope. It's kind of been like glamorized in the bodybuilding community because it was like the second ever created after Genentech, and they actually broke Genentech's patent back in the 70s to sell it anyway because they knew there was enough money in it. Because all the bodybuilders, and back then it was legal, so they're like, whatever, we'll pay the fee. They sold it. So these bodybuilders have like this mythical image, but in Canada they did a really good study comparing them all, and these two came out probably, in my opinion, the best at about 80% absorption rate. The Merck Sizen hit like 70 to 90% absorption because it's made in a different way. It's the only one made different. But that's kind of good or bad depending what batch you get. And then the Lilly Humatrope only came in at 70%. And I just had my blood work done recently. I've had these two done, and these both came out really awesome, like both around 2 on my GH serum, and I was about 350 on my IGF-1, which if anyone knows what they're talking about, like they know those are good scores. That's considered like optimized, over 300 on IGF-1. The Humatrope at the same dose, 2 IU, it only got me to like 200, and it costs more. So I have it, but I don't sell a lot of it just because, but I like to let people know, make your choice. So that's how it works.
Yeah, that's great. And that's really cool that you can do a 1 year supply for people, so they could literally come down to Acapulco every year and get their 1 year supply of growth hormone. You pointed out the price, a little less than $7,000, so a little over $500 a month for a year's supply. For people out there who might think that sounds crazy, well, your health is really one of the most important things out there. And if you're going to, say, Starbucks every day and having like a Frappuccino or something, first of all, that's not very good for you, even though I do it myself. But I'm just saying I'm aware it's not good for me, but it's my little treat every day. But that costs, here in Mexico is not bad. It's about $3.50 for a really big one. But in the U.S., it's like $5 or $6. Right there, that's how much a month, right? So you're already getting pretty close to the growth hormone price with just what you're spending on something like Starbucks. So if you think about it that way, and you, like that Starbucks, all it's doing is taking away from your health. It might add a little bit to your mental because it puts you in a good mood or whatever. That's fine. But the HGH is actually adding to your health. So just different ways for people to look at these things. Because I know that number might sound like a lot to some people, but look at what you're spending on other things, and they're not doing anything good for you, right?
Yeah, hey, it's better than, that monthly car payment for your midlife crisis on that Corvette. So, that's how I look at it. So, there's a lot of different ways. Most of our clients are, over 40. We get about, I'd say 30 to 40% women and the rest men. So a little bit higher percentage men, but it can be expensive. I totally get that. And it's why I try to keep the cost down, but you have to put it in other relative terms. And if you're just price shopping, this same pen in the United States, if you were to go to Walmart or Rite Aid or CVS, $1,300. My price works out $350. So
wow, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, that was one of the things that surprised me, because I used to actually lift weights a little bit in my 20s. I even did steroids back then, and I was into all this sort of stuff. And I remember just hearing back then how expensive HGH was, and you'd have to spend like tens of thousands of dollars a year to get on HGH. And then when I met you and you're like, yeah, I'll just ship it to your house. I'm like, I love Mexico. And you sent me the bill, and I was like, it was like $300 or something for that pen or whatever it was. And I was like, this isn't what they said it was. But I guess the price in the U.S. is just way more expensive. That's the deal, right?
Yeah, it's just because they assume your insurance is going to pay for it. Like, actually, I had a doctor from Dallas a few months ago, scared to death to come to Mexico because he hears all the news, right?
Yeah, it's horrible. I got to say, right? Like, this is horrible.
Yeah. So he came down, his wife and one of his patients convinced him. This guy's a gynecologist. He was actually hired to work at Cenegenics, which is like the most famous growth hormone and like hormone clinic in the United States. He decided not to work with them. He wanted to do his own. He only does female hormones now, and he was on the growth hormone until 2012. And then Obama passed some law that it was another one of those benefited big pharma and the insurance companies, and it doubled the price of growth hormone in the United States. So he couldn't afford it anymore. His patients couldn't. So him and his wife and his patient came down. They were so excited, but they only did it because the price difference. And then when he came and he saw how nice, we're in this amazing hospital. I'm not trying to like brag about our clinic. I'm if anything, I'm bragging about this hospital that we're in. It's like across the street from the Hard Rock, on the beach. It's nicer than any hospital I've been to in the United States. And the doctors, they'll sit there with you for half an hour to an hour. And it blew his mind when he came. And, it's just one more example of these people, you can't let your fear lead you, I guess. You need to kind of get the information and make that educated decision.
Yeah, and it is all fear. They're just trying to keep everyone in fear, and some people just haven't figured it out yet. So they just like, oh, well, it's said on the news Mexico's dangerous. It's like once they go, they're like, it wasn't what they said it was. I've only been in a hospital here, I think, once in Acapulco. I had a stomach bug I just couldn't get rid of, and as a lot of guys are, I would not go to the hospital until I was literally decapacitated. Like I could not move, I could not talk or anything. Finally, they wheeled me off to the hospital, and I was like, I'll get better on my own. And I was the only person in this hospital. It was a private hospital, and it was glorious. Like you said, it wasn't quite on the beach. I didn't have quite as good of a view as you, but it was like being in a really nice hotel, and I had my own suite. And I had doctors coming in about every half an hour, different ones, all doing different tests. At the end of it, after 2 days of staying in this luxury suite at a nice hotel, basically, which was a hospital, and having all these medications done, all these tests done. I think it was about $1,000, maybe a bit more than that. Whereas in the U.S., like, a lot of people say, oh, I hope I don't get sick when I'm in Mexico, that'd be so horrible. It's like, I say, please, if I ever get like where I have to go to a hospital, please don't let it be in the U.S. It'll bankrupt me. It's like you need an X-ray. It's like $20,000. Like what? Oh, and
Yeah, that happened to me almost identical to what you're saying in the United States about 10 years ago, and I think it cost me about like $6,000 or $7,000, and they couldn't figure out anything. They didn't fix me, nothing. It was the biggest waste of money I've ever spent.
Yeah. So as usual, what you hear in the news is not. It's actually almost
always the exact
opposite. That's what I found. So basically, whatever you're being told by the government or the media, just do the opposite. And actually, I didn't learn that from Doug Casey, but I remember always hearing he'd say the best places to go in the world as a tourist are places that are on the U.S. government's warning list, because there's no one there because everyone's so scared to go there. So you get super cheap prices, super good service. And he says, just like me, it's like there's never anything really dangerous there or anything.
Right?
So yeah, it's pretty funny. So you'll be coming down to Acapulco. So why don't you let people know if there's anything else you want to mention that we haven't mentioned about HGH, or if there's any other things as well that you want to mention. I know you do some testosterone supplement stuff.
Yeah, I'll just throw these out there just to let people know. It's not a big deal. Most men can get testosterone in the United States, but it's getting tougher and tougher even there. Mexico used to have more options. Right now, all they've got is this. It's Bayer Promotestin, which is testosterone enanthate. So we offer that too if men want testosterone replacement therapy, because a lot of these doctors in the U.S. are just giving too low doses or not optimizing guys. So if you need it, we've got that. And then this is something really cool that we've been doing for a while. And this is just kind of like an add-on. If you go anywhere in Mexico, you can get this. I just think it's really cool. Actually, Leandro, who helped with your website also, he built my website too. He introduced me to this one. It's called Mediadol here, but it's modafinil. And it is just like the ultimate focus pill. It's they've done studies at Harvard. Yeah, I'll show you where to get them. But it's like Oxford and Harvard did studies. All the guys in in what's it called, in like the Ivy League schools, all the programmers in Silicon Valley, they're all playing with this stuff. I can only take like half of one, and I'm like so focused. You got to really make sure you're going to focus on something. You get kind of anxious. You know how people are kind of laid back, or don't go to the bank in Mexico if you take one. You'll lose your mind. But but if you're focused, you're at the computer. Oh man, and it's not an upper. It's not like Ritalin or Adderall. In fact, for people out there that have their kids on that stuff, it's methamphetamine. It is. It says right on it the ingredient is like methyl, droxyl, and amphetamine, whatever, and so you're basically giving your kids meth. This works different. It's scary, but hey, that's fine. We'll dish that out all day. Have all the meth, have all the Oxycontin.
What, the kid's not paying enough attention in the government indoctrination camp? He's not remembering all the propaganda? Give him some of this meth.
Yeah, right. So yeah, if you want to get your kids off the meth, modafinil is a great way to go. It blocks the receptors that tell you to stop producing dopamine, basically. It's kind of the simplified way. And it allows you to produce more, and you just get really focused. And you can still sleep at night. You can still eat while you're on it. It doesn't feel like a drug. It just, I don't know. If you drink a cup of coffee with it, yeah, maybe it feels like a teeny tiny like hit of E or something, but I don't know.
That sounds good to me. Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
So it's good stuff. It definitely works, and we've had a lot of people use that to just get focused. I had another investment guy that follows you that came down last week that you referred to me, and he took a bunch home and was super excited about it. So it looks good.
Yeah, that's great. You mentioned if you want to get off the meth, there's actually, we're doing a whole health and wellness sort of thing before in Acapulco. And by the way, in Acapulco might be sold out completely by the time you see this video. It's going to sell out in the next few days. But the health and wellness retreat before it, I believe someone's going to come down, and they're talking about possibly doing a sort of a Iboga light sort of a ceremony. And you brought up getting off the meth. So many people are actually addicted to all those things that are basically meth. And then there's meth itself that they're addicted to, but a lot of these opiates and stuff like that. And Iboga is one of the best things to get off of opiate addictions, basically. So everything here in Mexico is great. It's got all the health stuff here. We can fix you all down here and then go back up there and get sick again, I guess, basically. So you'll be at Anarchapulco. Why don't you let people know how they can contact you? Any other information you want to let them know so that if they want to, they can meet up with you at Anarchapulco?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to drive down from Vallarta, so I'll be there bringing my family and stuff. And you can get a hold of me at dreambodyclinic.net, or you can even type in dreambody.clinic. That'll take you to the website. And email me at info@dreambodyclinic.net. US or Canada, those people, the phone number's there, but it's 424-253-0165. And, even if you just want some info, I'm happy to talk, give you the info. If anyone wants it while I'm there, let me know, because I'd have to have you get some blood panels done before you come, or find somewhere there to do it. But since I will be there, I can bring you prescriptions and all that. You can do a Skype conference with our doctor, and that still is valid and legal. And our doctor is the head doctor for the Port Authority in Puerto Vallarta. So, he's like the expert of what you can and can't travel with. So it works really well.
That's great. And did you give us your website or email address just to make sure that people know how to contact you?
Yeah, I think I did, but
okay, just do it again. And I must have zoned out for a second. I think I'm still feeling that cannabis oil from my coffee enema.
It's info@dreambodyclinic.net, and the website is just dreambodyclinic.net.
Oh, yeah, that seems like deja vu, so you must have said it before. So that's it for another edition of Anarchast. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, share it down below. Share this with people, especially sort of older people, like over 40, 50, if they're feeling sluggish, if they're not feeling how they felt when they were young. And Josh brought up a great point. If you go to the doctor and you're 60, he'll go, yeah, you're not bad for 60. But you can actually feel like 40 or 30 if you want to with a lot of this stuff. And I'm 47. I feel just amazing. I'm actually going to do a video about all the stuff I'm doing, because it's just been amazing. I can't believe how all this stuff has changed me. It's I just came back from the beach. I didn't even used to leave my house. Now I'm I want to get out there. I want to go swim in the ocean. I want to go hike up these things. I'm just full of energy, and I still get tons of work done. It's almost like I'm on this Modio Dal or whatever it is, the legal cocaine or whatever it is that I'm
not quite that.
Whatever it is, it sounds good. But it's I'm so focused when I'm working, and I get done what I used to take me all day in an hour or two now. So, yeah, and what I found is, because I didn't used to be into any of this health stuff at all, and the more that you get healthy, the more everything just works better. Your brain works better. Now all of a sudden you're making better decisions, and now all of a sudden you're making more money, and it's just everything just flows a lot better when you have your health. And when you don't have your health, I've been sort of depressed, and I didn't really get out of bed very often. I was that depressed, and you just feel so bad, your whole everything. You go into the depression mostly because you're kind of unhealthy. That was part of it. Actually, I got off of a lot of my depression first by fasting, which just got my body cleaned out. And all of a sudden I was like, whoa, what am I doing? Why am I eating this? I don't need this, and that sort of thing. So, just talking about all this health-related stuff, I think is just so great. So for people out there who want things like HGH, talk to Josh. And like he said, get a hold of him before Anarchapulco, so you can have things ready for you down here. You can also get some kratom off of Luis Fernando Misas, and lots of other stuff. The Boga will probably be here. We're doing, of course, ayahuasca ceremony, which I think is sold out now, and DMT ceremony. So lots of stuff going on here in Anarchapulco. I'll leave it at that. Please like, subscribe, share if you like this video. And that's it for Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
In a world where Antifa riots in the city streets, cops rage out of control, and the leader of the free world is a fat-ass casino owner, one event stands alone to make anarchy great again.
I actually love humanity. That is why I'm an anarchist.
Backwards in the building like we the ceiling, we illin'. No matter who find it appealing, I'm here and I got a feeling that we'll be dealing a lot of pain with the penicillin get drilled in your head. That we are monsters and yeah, we come from the slums, and for months we've been pumped, but for once I am now comfortable. I want to grow, I want some more success, and I want to know that greatness can't be rushed, can't be lost, so face the bus. Feel free to hate on us, we lace them up. Dudes, we done paid them up. Keep snakes away from us and safe from us, you might wanna be. Remember when clowns used to make fun of me and that they wanna be me, see me and they run at me. I'm gonna be the greatest, yeah I wanna be, but I am not the one to be the fakest for the sake of being played. I'm here like I never left, said so hell. Now I cause I can't just fail. So just prepare your ears, it'll get for real. Take from here, we will never take the sale, it's grind time. My mind and my thoughts, my highs and my faults, my wins and my loss. When will I fall off? It's a chance for me. You are now listening to Veracity. Yeah.
Fuck the media, fuck the banks, fuck drone strikes, fuck tanks, fuck hunger, fuck war, fuck ignoring of the poor, fuck the left, fuck the right, fuck the government. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.